Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Firewood at the Furnace. My name is Brad, and we're not sure about his name yet, but if you were on the live stream last Thursday night, then you know that I'm searching for a name for this gift that was sent to me by Jeff and Patty at Mountaintop Outdoors. Pretty cool little item. You know, the bald eagle is very special to me as a reminder of my father, but we got to come up with a name for him. Had a lot of great suggestions on the live stream, so we will be naming him here shortly, and he will be the official mascot of the channel now. So lots been going on here the past couple of weeks. You guys have seen me digging dirt, laying stone, getting everything packed down. We had a window of good weather there where I wanted to get that project done. But since that has happened, we have had some pretty substantial rain. We had one day of 2.5 inches of rain, about a day and a half, 2 days worth of break, and then another day and a half of about another 1.5 inches of rain. So I feel like we've given it a pretty good test up until this point. So I'm going to show you around the yard, show you the finished product, tell you about some small problems that I think can be easily corrected and how it's working out. And then later on in the video, I want to talk to you about moisture meters. I know it's a sore topic for a lot of people. Some people believe wholeheartedly in them. Some people don't believe in them at all. And some people like me use it as a tool, as a guide to use in conjunction with a lot of other things to determine when your firewood is ready to sell and ready to burn. So we're going to go over all that today. Stick around. So it is quite windy here once again. I'm going to do my best to keep the wind out of the microphone for y'all so you don't have to listen to all that wind noise. But here is the finished product. You see some dirt here. If you haven't been following along, there is some dirt on top of stone. This whole area here where the camper used to sit and the axis now resides does have stone already down in it, and it has for a while. This is just some residual dirt that is built up on top as I was digging the dirt out for the new pad area. So here is the new pad area, all filled in and compacted. For those of you who took a guess on how much stone it was going to take to accomplish this project, it ended up being 105 ton. 105 ton of stone, and we got up to a comfortable level. Now we do have it graded downhill. The yard naturally slopes down towards the woods, but I did purposely grade it downhill, and you can see it's packed down pretty well here. Sorry for the wind. But we've had substantial rain, and the water is draining very nicely off the pad here. But you can see that as it runs off where the skid loader is sitting and where the little yard trailer is, I do need to do some more grading because it's kind of getting to that point and laying right here in this area. So I need to do a little bit more grading to keep the water moving down through the yard. The other problem area is over here behind the splitter. You can see this row is all completed and cleaned out now, so we're going to try to start growing some more grass here for Mom to mow. Won't have to travel or work in this part of the yard anymore this year. But this part right here behind the splitter, kind of the same problem. It's a little bit low, and there's nowhere for the water to go around this pallet because there's a little hump right here. So I'm gonna have to rake some of that out, grade, maybe put a little swale to let this water go down and around that pallet and down into the yard. But other than that, it seems to be working out very well. I know a lot of you have suggested putting French drains in, things like that. After I ended up having to haul 105 ton of stone in here, I was pretty much tapped out as far as the money I could put into this project. But it's a huge improvement. I mean, I'm walking on hard ground now, which is absolutely awesome. And I did have a visitor, an inspector came by to check on me. The inspector came when I was not here and left, I guess you could call it a gift for me. He left this button right here, frickin' Jeep, and he also gave me my seal of approval. It passed inspection. So thank you there, John from frickin' Jeep. I appreciate it. Sorry I wasn't here to see you when you stopped by, but apparently you took a gander at the project, and at least it met your approval, buddy. So that is what is happening here. Let's get over here and talk about this new technology. I believe it's new technology when it comes to moisture meters, something that I have never seen before. So when it comes to moisture meters, I have made my position known on videos prior to this, but just if you haven't seen those videos, or if you just want a refresher on my opinion of moisture meters, I don't trust them 100%. I use them as a tool to aid me, to give me an idea in conjunction with other factors. Came up with a little acronym on how I do it, and I use the word left. How much time is left before I can sell this firewood? So if you take the word left, the L stands for look. Look at the firewood. See if you see any end grain checks, cracks. Is the bark falling off? What is the color of the wood? Is it starting to get that dark brown color, not that fresh cut look? So the L for the word left is look at the wood. That'll give you a good baseline and a good idea right there of how far along your wood is coming in the drying process. The E stands for electronics. That's where the moisture meter comes in. Use your electronic devices to give you another little glimpse of information on how dry your wood is. It'll give you a number, the moisture content. We all shoot for that 20% or less mark before we sell it. So use your electronics. The F stands for the feel of the wood. What does it feel like? How heavy is it? Does it feel heavy for the size of the split that you're holding, or does it feel like it's gotten lighter? That will tell you and is a good indicator that a lot of the moisture is out of the wood. And the last thing that I go by is the T, and that stands for time. How long has that wood been split, stacked, and sitting outside in the wind and the sun? And that will give you an idea if the wood is ready to sell. All right, what I've got here is a couple different moisture meters. These are the two moisture meters that I have been using for quite a while now. This is the general moisture meter that a lot of us get off of Amazon. The problem with this moisture meter is that the pins bend on it constantly. You can probably see those pins there are bent. They're very thin. They are replaceable, but I seem to bend them more often than not. Once those pins get bent, you have a really hard time getting it into the wood grain to get an accurate reading. This other moisture meter I use as well, it's got a little bit heavier duty pins on it. I've never had a problem bending those, but I use two different moisture meters just to compare the differences when I'm checking the wood. They almost never correspond with each other. They're always a little bit different. But today, what I've got to show you is from Gehl, is who manufactures these. They sent these to me to test out, and it's something that I've never seen before. And this is a pinless moisture meter. It has a sensor on the back. All you do is just lay it down on your piece of firewood, and it's supposed to tell you the moisture content of the wood. Now, obviously, we know that the pins help because you can get inside of the wood to get a more accurate reading. But what you need to do, and you should be doing anyway, is before you're checking moisture on a piece of firewood, is you should do a fresh split on it anyway to really see what the inside moisture content is. You see, I have two of these moisture meters here, and if you are still hanging around in this video, then you are in luck, because the second one is for one of you. Now, I'm not going to put in the thumbnail, I'm not going to put in the title of the video that I'm giving one of these away, not only because of the spam problems, but just to see, for those of you who are still sticking around and watching this video, you'll have a better chance to win this. So all I need you to do is put in the comments, pinless moisture meter. And if you comment that, you will be in the running for me to ship that out to you. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go over, I'm going to grab a few pieces of firewood, some bundle wood, and some larger heating wood, different species. We'll carry them all over to the axis, start the axis up, and do a fresh split, and we will check these moisture meters and compare them to each other and see what kind of readings we get. All right, so what I have right here is 4 different species of wood. I've got a piece of red oak, a piece of maple, a piece of ash, and a piece of cherry. These have all been split and stacked at different times. The first thing we want to do is obviously look. The first letter of the word left. If we look at this piece of red oak, you can see that there's really no checks on the end grain as of yet. It does feel dry on the outside, but it's got a little bit of weight to it. So I'm thinking this is still pretty high in moisture content. The piece of maple, you can see we're missing bark. The bark is gone. No real check marks or cracks on the end grain, but it's obviously a lot lighter than the red oak. So we'll do a fresh split and check the moisture on this. This is ash, which we know is always pretty low in moisture content anyway. Again, we have no cracks in the end grain. This is a barkless piece that was split, and obviously it's pretty light. This is going to be a piece of bundlewood when it's ready to go. The next thing is a piece of cherry that we just split a couple weeks ago before we started on the yard gravel project. So this hasn't been split very long at all, maybe 3-4 weeks. We noticed that we do start to see some checking, some cracking on the end grains here already on both ends. The bark is still intact, and it's got a little bit of weight to it. So let's do fresh splits on all 3 of these, and we will check it with all 3 meters. I'll put the fresh split side up so we don't forget. I also have this top test moisture meter that I tried a little while ago that I keep in the truck that I just remembered. So we've actually got 4 different moisture meters here to compare to each other. This should be pretty interesting. I am going to record everything: ash, oak, cherry, and maple. We'll do the general, the top tests. I don't even think this one has a brand on it, so we'll call it the no name, and the Pinless we will record down here. All right, so we'll start with the general. We're going to do the ash first. And we get a reading in the ash, 16.3%. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me make sure. There, we're at 13.9. So that's the fresh split side. 13.9 from the general. Let's use the top test now. We use the same exact piece of wood. And the battery just died on that one. All right, so we're not going to use that one anyway. Let's try the no name. Take the cap off, would be helpful. And we get 11.5 from the no name. So only a couple points off there. And now we will use the Pinless, and this is what I'm really interested to see what that's going to do. Same piece of wood. And you see that? 19.3. Try it in a different area. 41.6. 17, 16, 16. It's really showing high numbers down on this end, but no, it's kind of all over the place, but we'll call it 17% for that one, which is substantially higher than the other two. It is set on wood. You have different settings. You have softwood, you have hardwood, you have masonry, and you have walls. So we are set on hardwood here. Let's move on to the next piece of wood, which will be oak. We'll use the general. Here is the oak that we just split. $25.2. 25.2 on the oak for the general. We'll try the no name. Right around 24%. And now we will try the Pinless. $27, 28%. So that's a little better, a little closer to the other two. So we'll record 28 there. The Pinless one is running consistently higher so far. As we move on to the cherry, the moisture content for this piece of cherry is 21.5 on the general. And for the no name, about 19.3. And now for the Pinless. This is showing anywhere from 8 to 10%. I don't know if you can see that or not. Kind of settled in around 7, 7.5. So we'll call it 7.5. Again, not as consistent as the other two. And we'll move on to the maple, which I feel like is really dry. The fresh split side of the maple. Let me grab the other piece because I think I flipped this one around. Yep, we'll use this one. The maple on the general, 18.2%. We'll move over to the no name. Call it 14.9. And lastly, for the Pinless, showing 7.9, 9.1, 6.2. Looks like 9.9 is kind of the highest reading we got. So we'll call it 9.9. And let's check out our results. So here are the results, if you can read my chicken scratch. The first column is the general. The second column would have been the top test, but we switched it to the Pinless because the batteries were dead in the top test. And then the no name. The ash looks like the General and the No Name were within a couple percentage points of each other. The Pinless was about 4 or 5% higher. On the oak, the General and the No Name were very consistent within 1 percentage point of each other. And again, the Pinless was a few percentage points higher. We move on to the cherry, and you can see that the General and the No Name were again within a couple percent. And this time the Pinless was lower, substantially lower. Move on to the maple, and you've got about 3% or so between the General and the No Name. And again, the Pinless was substantially lower. So I'll give you my thoughts and what I think causes the differences here, and then you can tell me what you think in the comments. So as always, I give you an honest opinion. I'm no expert. I am simply reviewing a product as the end user for something that I do in the firewood industry. Moisture meters are used in a wide variety of applications. You see the different settings on this one for masonry, for walls. I know they use them for transoms on boats to see if the transom of a boat is getting wet. Obviously we use them on firewood as well. The problem I see with the Pinless one, why we're getting different readings from this, is because this is a flat surface on the back where this sensor is located. Obviously every piece of firewood has different characteristics, splits differently, and is a little bit unique. When you lay this on that piece of wood, I think you'll get a more accurate reading the flatter the surface and the smoother the surface that you can put it on. This would probably be fantastic for checking a wall up against a nice flat surface. However, with the firewood, you're going to get some rocking, you're going to get some offset readings, and I think that affects what this is telling you. With the pins, you're getting penetration into the wood and a good bite every time you check a piece of wood. If you got a flat piece of wood, this would probably be pretty good, but with the grain and the different shapes and characteristics of a piece of split firewood, I don't think you're going to get as accurate of a reading as laying it on a flat surface. So that's my opinion. If you'd like to try it out, if you want to win this, you can use it. Maybe you've got another need for something like this or another use for it, but I think I will stick to the moisture meters with the pins. The two with the pins were surprisingly pretty close together today. Well, that is going to be it for today, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you're interested in one of these moisture meters, check in the description. I will have a discount code listed down there with links to get you directly to the product. But if you do want to enter the drawing to win that product, make sure you check out what you need to do earlier in this video. So we will see you next Wednesday. I've got a trailer over here with some cherry and locust logs in it that we've got to get bucked up and split up and start filling this yard the rest of the way up. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time. You gonna stay still? You good?